Hey everybody, welcome back to Bitter Knitters Podcast TV Attack Edition. It's been several weeks since we have done a podcast, so thank you for joining us. It is August 27th, 2017. Lots of news going on, and I'm your host Justin, and I'm with Jack today. How's it going? You're having issues today, right? Technical.
It's the internet, people, and sometimes the internet hates us.
Can I just blame Conor McGregor?
It could be a wave of Irish hatred towards me, even though my husband is Irish.
It's those Lucky Charms. So we got some news for you today. We're going to talk Game of Thrones because the finale is tonight. Yay! And then we've got a couple of Netflix new shows that we will talk about too. But let's go ahead and speaking of Netflix, they're going to be our first news item. Is in the last couple of weeks, since it's been a couple of weeks since we've done a podcast, they have renewed 3 of their shows for season 2, and they actually canceled a show that we talked about on this podcast a few weeks ago. So they renewed Ozark for season 2.
That was that show.
Yeah, it was pretty good with Jason Bateman, Laura Linney. They renewed Glow for season 2.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and Friends from College for season 2. Scratching my head on that.
Maybe it got better.
That's what I've heard, but I heard that it doesn't get better till episode 7, and there's only 8 episodes.
Jeez Louise, no.
So maybe next season they'll be able to fix. And we are going to say a fond goodbye to Gypsy.
I don't know if fond is the word, but goodbye.
Bye, Gypsy. Yeah, they canceled Gypsy. That was the Naomi Watts show we talked about where she's a therapist who becomes different people and she gets in the lives of her patients.
Creepily involved in their personal lives.
And it just wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, Gypsy.
A lot of awkward sex scenes.
Yeah, I don't know. And I feel like going into it, Netflix knew that it wasn't going to be great because I felt like there wasn't a lot of I saw a couple TV ads for it, but normally you see hype and you see excitement for shows online, and there was nothing for Gypsy.
Nothing. I saw it pop up on my Netflix feed, but I didn't see nothing on like Facebook, nothing on any of the websites that I go to. Nobody was talking about it.
Yeah. So sorry. And you know what? That's funny because Netflix, they've had a reputation of not really canceling their shows. Now they're starting to cancel a little bit more. But I think this is the quickest cancellation they've ever had. It was within a month of season 1 premiering.
They're getting some really good quality shows. And I mean, everybody's going to get a thud, they're going to get a stinker. And that was their stinker. And why hang on to it?
And Friends from College, no.
Well, somebody likes it.
Yeah, but they've got a pretty good track record with their shows, and so they're not all. You can't bat 1,000. You're not always going to knock you out of the park. What is up with all these baseball metaphors?
You're so sportsy.
That's so weird for me. So sportsy. So. Our next news item is on September 30th. The new season of SNL premieres, season 43. That's insane.
That's just barely older than me.
That's insane.
Or sorry, younger than me.
So they've announced their host and the musical guest for the premiere, and that's going to be musical guest Jay-Z. Not my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, he is what he is. He's a legend, but I've never really been a huge fan.
Yeah. And hosted by Ryan Gosling.
Who was really good last time.
Yeah, he was surprisingly good. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I shouldn't have been surprised because he got his start doing like the Mickey Mouse Club, so he kind of has done variety sketch shows.
Yeah, and he's done some comedy-ish stuff. So I mean, he's got a range.
Yeah, so
maybe not singing, but he's got a range.
Aww. Yeah, he was a very good singer. But I remember the big sketch everybody talked about the last time he hosted. It was the first time they did that alien abduction thing.
Yeah,
with
that crazy lady.
As that crazy lady, and Ryan Gosling completely lost it.
Everybody lost it, and except for Cecily.
Mm-hmm.
She held it, but everybody else had lost it. Which I mean, Edie lost it. Keenan always loses it. But yeah.
And Keenan's still there.
You know what?
I think he's there for his 43rd year.
Keenan should never leave because really, nobody does a face like Keenan does a face. Like, oh, what you talking about?
He does do pretty good faces with that. And it's crazy to think that he's been with the show almost about a quarter of its run.
Wow.
I think it's just got to be his like 11th or 12th year, somewhere around there.
Yeah, he's been there for a long time.
And he had that sketch experience as a kid too, because I remember watching him on the Nickelodeon show All That.
Yeah, the Good Burger thing turned into that movie.
Yeah,
I never watched All That. I didn't have Nickelodeon, and I was an adult. But I watched Good Burger, and I know a lot of people say it's a horrible movie. I loved that movie. I thought it was hysterical.
I've never seen Good Burger.
Oh my god, it was so funny and ridiculous and stupid. He wasn't my favorite. That dumb guy with the braids was the funny one.
Yes, yeah, Kel. Because then they had the Keenan and Kel show.
Yeah, I never saw that either.
But yeah, so Keenan's still going, and I have a feeling that besides the people that we know are leaving, which were Bobby Moynihan, Vanessa Bayer, oh my gosh, I can never say her name. Sashir Zameda. There we go. Sashir Zameda. And I think everybody else is supposed to return. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few weeks we get new cast members. Some more.
Well, you have to. That's 3 main people leaving.
And especially they usually typically do 6 or 7 year contracts, and you have a whole bunch of people like Adie and Cecily and Kate that are coming up onto that. And so
I could see Kate leaving because she's a huge star.
Totally.
I hope Adie doesn't even love her.
I feel like Adie needs to stay for a couple more years.
Yeah.
And I'll be interested to see what Cecily does, whether she stays or goes. But yeah, with the whole group about to get close to that end of that initial contract, they're going to have to bring in some more younger people.
Did they promote any of their part-time people up, or?
That I haven't heard yet. I think that news would come in a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised.
Like a lot of the new people.
No, Mikey O'Day's okay.
Which one's Mikey O'Day? The skinnier one?
He's the one that plays Donald Jr. They used him a lot.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about the one that plays Eric Trump.
Yeah, he's kind of
He does a good Eric. I'll give him that.
He does a good Eric, and that's about it. I think that's going to keep him around. Usually, I feel like sometimes it takes them a couple years to get promoted. So maybe not this year, but maybe next year, unless they bring in a lot of new people, then maybe they'll just get them.
I know this isn't news, but and I haven't talked about this in private either with you. How is the Weekend Update show?
It was okay. They were okay. There were only 3 episodes, so they're done now.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them. So.
I feel like they spent too much on bringing in like people to do the talks and not enough news. There were like hardly. I feel like there were less news items than there would be on a typical Weekend Update.
Yeah, some of the guests I don't enjoy though.
But they brought in Leslie Jones one time, and she's always good. They brought in Pete Davidson one week, and he's usually pretty good.
He's usually good, yeah.
They had Mikey O'Day, and the other guy is Donald Jr. and Eric one week, and that's always good. But then they had Keenan do a couple things that didn't quite work. They had Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers coming on as Washington and Jefferson, which was okay. Tina Fey did like a 15-minute sketch.
I watched the clip. I watched that clip. That was the one thing I saw, and
It went on long. There were a couple good lines there, but it went on a little long. And then, of course, this week they opened with Alec Baldwin's Trump.
Yeah. I'll go back and watch them when I have a chance, but I'm still catching up from my vacation on my.
They're quick.
Very important, like Zoo.
Oh, that's the one show I'm still behind on. I watched one yesterday. I still have 3 more. I think that's probably what my rest of my Sunday will be. Yes, having a life. I gotta find out what happened.
So
oh my god! I just want to say that one scene of Zoo when they pan up and they see Baby Abendigos going Jackson. Stupidest thing I've ever seen.
It's so funny. Yeah.
So
it didn't get any better while we were gone.
Zoo and better should not be in the same sentence. HBO's Room 104 got renewed for season 2.
Okay, I have to catch up on that too.
Have you watched any more besides the first one?
No, I'm very excited to, but not yet.
The first episode, which was the one with Ralph and Ralphie, definitely my favorite episode so far. All the others have been fairly good, some better than others. The one that was on this week was interesting because it had absolutely like no supernatural or horror aspect to it at all. It was kind of an interesting episode. There was this young Indian guy who wants to be a writer. This is back in '97. He realized, though, that he left the draft of his novel and he's about to meet with an agent on his computer. So he has to call his mother and teach her how to transfer the file. And she knows nothing about computers.
Especially moms in 1997 super did not know anything about technology.
Yes.
I didn't even know about computer technology in 1997.
Yeah, it was hard to watch because I thought it was kind of cringeworthy because it was so hard because she knew nothing, and I felt so bad for that guy who's like yelling at his mom, and it was interesting, and I think we've got a few more episodes left this season, but they are going to do a second season, and I think it's got to be a fairly cheap show to make. You're not spending money. I mean,
you have one set,
yeah,
and have they had a lot of like name people on it, like well-known actors?
James Van Der Beek would probably be the most well-known.
So they're not putting out a lot of money in acting.
No. The same episode with James Van Der Beek, you had Dale from Greek was in it too.
Oh, I think we're the only people who know who Dale from Greek is.
And Orlando Jones was in an episode.
Oh, okay. So he's kind of known, but he's still not pulling in like $1 million an episode type of acting.
Oh, exactly. No. One of the Duplass brothers, which is easy since they're the ones who wrote and created the show.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll definitely be watching.
Yeah. It's been good. And again, it's nice because if you don't necessarily like an episode, they're all completely different. You don't even have to watch them all because it's just a straight out anthology series.
Or press next, whatever the thing is.
Yeah. So a reality show neither of us watch is starting to get their cast together, and that's the next season 25 of Dancing with the Stars. And so far, the rumored names are awful.
Well, I remember they wanted Sean Spicer.
Yeah, and I think that's the route they could have gone. I feel like they need to get someone like Spicer or Scaramucci.
I was about to say the Mooch.
I feel like the Mooch would do it because
he seems like
he likes attention and fame whore. Yes.
But Sean Spicer has no personality or sense of humor, so he would never do it.
No, never do it. And I think to get somebody who's no longer in the White House and was part of that administration as part of it, I think is a move they need to make, but I don't know if they'll be able to get one. So far, the only rumor name
is Priebus. I'm trying to think who else has been fighting. Steve Bannon.
Steve Bannon. Yeah.
He'd get the white power Nazi vote.
Oh my God.
They pair him up with a black person to dance with. That would be hysterical.
Ooh, I can't imagine him being able to dance at all, but I love the idea.
He barely is alive.
Maybe for the spring we can get Sarah Huckabee Sanders for the spring.
Oh God, I hate her.
Oh, she's the worst. But there's several people for them to choose from, and I feel like that they like to do that, like the season, like the kind of controversial figures. Like right after you had the whole Ryan Lochte Olympics thing, they got him, and so they've got no Olympics this summer, so they can't
try
grab
to get people that are in the news. I mean, Mayweather's retired. Maybe he could do it.
He said
that was his last fight last night. He said.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's
what he said.
Someone they would try to get. But right now, the only names
big leg boxers. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Any kind of athletes, boxers, football players. So right now you have Nikki Bella, who is a wrestler, and I believe she's
WWF. Yeah, or WWE.
I still remember it as F. No, I believe she's. Yeah. Is that the lady that's the fiance to John Cena? I think.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And then one of the property.
I don't watch wrestling anymore.
One of the Property brothers.
You can't tell them apart.
No, they're both the same scary-looking guy. And then Nick and Vanessa Lachey.
Oh God.
I kept thinking Nick has already participated, but I guess he hasn't, and his brother who did.
He was just in the audience every day on camera. Can the Lacheys go away? Like,
I know they were already on Battle of the Network Stars this year. We don't need to see more. Yeah, they need to go away.
Did the Property Brothers ever do any acting? Do you know? Because there was a show in Canada called Train 42 or 48 or something, and there was a guy who looked suspiciously like a Property Brother on it, but I don't know his name.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Canadian listeners, do you remember that Train 42, 48, whatever it was? Let me know.
And you think a Property Brother was on it?
I don't know. He just was weird looking like that to me.
I know they kind of. I can't put my finger on it, but they definitely do look kind of strange. I'm doing a quick look at their page, and I don't think so.
Okay.
But we'd have to do a bigger.
Maybe it was like another brother. Like maybe he's not. It's like the Moffats. Maybe he's another brother, but he doesn't do property.
Or the Hemsworths. When you had the random Luke Hemsworth pop up on Westworld.
And there's one more Hemsworth brother too.
Wait, what?
I think there's four, but one doesn't act.
Oh,
I thought I saw that.
Oh, I don't.
Well, the first two are definitely the best looking Hemsworths.
Yeah. Yeah. Poor Luke. Sorry, Luke. One of your favorite actors.
Not that he is.
No, he's not. He's not. But when you're standing next to like Luke and Liam.
That's the thing.
Sorry, Chris and Liam.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, he's probably good looking on his own right, but standing next to gods, like, come on.
One of your favorite actors has signed up for an Amazon TV series.
You told me this.
Yeah, Orlando Bloom in a show called Carnival.
Not a great actor, but he's super handsome and he has a giant.
And it's listed. It's described as an 8-episode drama that's a fantasy. I can never say that stupid word. Set in a neo-Victorian city, mythical. Mythical creatures fleeing their war-torn homeland have gathered in the city, and tensions are simmering between citizens and the growing immigrant population.
That sounds horrible.
It sounds awful. And you know what?
I'll watch it, but it sounds horrible.
It sounds so bad. And they're not even doing their normal like pilot. They ordered this straight to series. Normally they make a pilot and people vote on them and they get their opinions. And then they order it to series. And this one, they're going straight to series.
They're just like, this is our Game of Thrones. We've got Orlando Bloom and that's it.
Oh, it is.
I mean, like, I love Orlando Bloom, but he hasn't been super successful. I hope that he's not the only one they're betting the series on.
Yeah, right now he's the only one listed for acting. He's also producing it, executive producing it.
Oh, okay.
So we shall see. I mean, he had Pirates, which is probably his biggest movie besides Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and he had to go back to the franchise after he left because he's not doing very well.
No. Poor Orlando. He's got to feed his son Flynn.
Oh, cutest little baby, famous baby. Except for maybe Prince. What's his name? Harry.
George.
No, George. That's it. Prince Harry's also cute. Yeah, Prince George. He's an adorable baby.
So what's kind of interesting? We both watched the TV show Lucifer. And it just finished its second season. And Fox, during the second season, they announced that they were going to extend the season by 4 more episodes. So they wrote and they filmed these 4 episodes, and they were going to fit it in at the end of the season. They were going to be like standalone character pieces. And then Fox is like, nope, sorry, we'll push those to the fall. And they just ended the season as it originally was supposed to end. So now these episodes people thought were kind of in limbo. But what they're going to do is they're not going to put them at the beginning of season 3. Season 3 is going to pick up at how season 2 ended, and then they'll kind of sprinkle them in throughout the season where it fits with these character pieces.
So like someone like I don't remember her name, the detective Chloe Decker, she could have a totally different hairstyle. And possibly. I'll be like, I'll notice that shit because that's the stuff that bothers me.
Yeah, possibly, because they filmed all these 4, and then there's apparently one that they haven't even decided where they're fitting in yet. So that might go even like fairly late into the season. And so, yeah, so you might see different hairstyles.
So there just might be some weird things that aren't flowing along with the flow of traffic and we'll be like, what the heck? That was a weird episode.
I think it's going to be pretty obvious. And they're also saying that they took some like storytelling risks and tried different things with these episodes. So I have a feeling they're not going to like be cohesive at all with like where they fit in.
I hope we get as much. She's kind of annoying, but I kind of love her. That little morgue assistant forensic girl.
Yeah,
maybe we get an episode on her and what her life is like.
What's her name? Is that Ella?
Remember. Ella, that's it.
Yeah,
is Ella the daughter?
Oh, is Ella the daughter?
No, I don't remember what. No, I think that girl's Ella.
And there's an episode where, because there's a case takes Lucifer and Ella to Las Vegas. So there will be one where she'll get a little bit more of a...
Okay.
Because I feel like they introduced her. They never did much with her character.
They haven't. And I mean, every scene she's in, I kind of think she steals the scene, even against Lucifer.
Yeah,
I
feel like she's very good. And I liked her character a lot. They just didn't know what to do. So it was kind of weird I'm almost wondering if they kind of changed their plans on her. Like they had an idea, a big story for her, and they kind of scrapped it because they didn't do much with her character. But I liked what we saw of her.
I felt like when she came in, I felt like they were going to try to tie her into Kevin Alejandro's character, like a kind of a romance, but then they went with the mom route instead. Lucifer's mom.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because I just felt like the way she kind of flirted with him, and she kind of thought, she was really flirty with him right at the very beginning and kind of forward. Yeah. And then that kind of disappeared immediately. So I thought.
Yeah, I bet the plans for her definitely changed. And there's going to be a flashback episode to Lucifer's first days in LA, because you know how much we love flashback episodes.
I love flashbacks. I know you hate them. I love them. As long as he's wearing a really, really bad wig, I'll love it.
They kind of have to give him a bad wig. They kind of have to have him coming in and they kind
of
go
to the set of Being Human USA and put one of those wigs on him.
Or Buffy and Angel had really bad flashback wigs.
Oh, they did. Especially Spike and Angel's wigs were so bad.
So bad. They probably were the Being Human wigs.
They probably just dyed them black and stuck them on Aiden's head.
So bad. And because we all demanded it, a episode all about the therapist lady.
I love her.
She's fine. She's good.
She is. She's
fine. Yeah, so I think it's going to be a little distracting where they're just going to randomly fit these episodes in and we'll see how it works. And I don't know if that means we're going to get a longer season 3 or if these are just supplementing that. I'm not sure. But that should be back in a few weeks. And I do enjoy Lucifer. That was one of those shows that I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it when it started. But yeah, it's a solid show.
Yeah, I watched it specifically or only because he was on the British show Miranda, and I loved him. But I ended up loving the show. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was good. Okay, so we are going to talk about a show that is ending its season tonight.
This is a show nobody knows about. We're going to introduce this show to you. Very few people are watching it and have heard of it. I don't know why it hasn't caught on.
No, you would think that, I don't know. If I were HBO, I'd be rather disappointed by the performance of the show.
Yeah, definitely.
The little show called Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Which we have not been able to talk about for a few weeks now. Like half the season.
Can I tell you how much I've been dying to talk to people about Game of Thrones because nobody in my family watches it. When I went down east to visit my family, my niece didn't watch it. My sister doesn't watch it. My brother-in-law doesn't watch it. The only people I knew that watched it were my other sisters that were visiting and some of their kids. But it was like we never got in time to watch it together. And then when I was like at other people's houses, nobody watched it. I was dying. The last week's episode that leaked early. I watched it a little early. I know I'm bad. Oh my God, I had nobody to talk to about that, and I was dying inside because of it.
Yeah.
I need to join some sort of forums about it or
support
something.
Group, Game of Thrones support
do those still exist? Forums?
Well, in a way, I think you don't necessarily have like new forums popping up, but I think you've got some of like the legacy ones. Like I'll still go read like Survivor Sucks, but it's just not the same that like.
Oh yeah.
It used to be a whole forums used to be everywhere. It's just I feel like it's a little different these days. So let's go ahead and let's talk about each of the characters kind of one by one and where their story's gone and maybe where we think we're going to go to tonight. Have we talked about this? Oh no, we didn't talk about the saddest death ever. Oh.
Are you talking about the dragon?
No, I don't care about the dragon.
Oh, I forgot you're talking about your.
So let's start with Cersei and her army. So we've got Cersei, we've got Jaime. They did it. She's apparently pregnant.
I don't believe it.
You don't think?
I think she's lying.
She could.
No, because
she could be doing.
She was told that none of her children would live. right? Remember,
Yeah.
she was told that by that gypsy lady,
Yeah.
that none of her children would live. So I don't believe that she's pregnant. If she is, it's not going to live anyway, which is not a nice thing to say, but still.
Yeah, I just don't think we need another incest baby.
No, not unless it's Jon and Daenerys's.
So right now, the big things have been kind of the Cersei's King's Landing troops versus Daenerys's troops, and we saw that Grey Worm and his troops took over Casterly Rock. Is that what it's called?
Casterly Rock, yeah.
And it was
the
easy.
Ancestral home of the Lannisters, yeah.
And it was easy because most of the Lannister troops were taking over Highgarden, which featured probably my scene of the season, if not the show, when Jaime goes to Olenna Tyrell to pretty much to end her life. And he's like, look, Cersei wants me to embarrass you and do all these horrible things to you, but I talked her out of it. I'm just going to give you this poison. She's like, yeah, sure. She takes the poison and then reveals that she's the one that was behind Joffrey's death. So it's kind of like a mic drop moment at her death. And oh my God, she's the best character.
That's why I don't find it a sad death. I think that's like a powerful death she kind of took back.
Yeah. Well, I was
like,
just sad because my
the way
favorite
she lived her life. Yeah.
The character died. But yeah.
Yeah, like she was a tough old bitch her whole life. And she went out that way.
She went out that way. She owned the moment. She kind of broke down.
Stuck the knife in his stomach and twisted it too. I love that. I just
amazing.
So like what a way to go. If you're gonna go like, you know, Olenna Tyrell.
Yeah, that was awesome. So they also did took over Highgarden for their gold, since they're the house with apparently the most gold. So
they owe a lot of money to the Bravos banks.
Yes. And so they got most of the gold, I guess, to King's Landing, but the rest of the troops, along with Bronn and Jaime, were heading back to King's Landing when, who's that coming? It's Daenerys on her dragon with the Dothraki army. That scene was awesome.
When that just fire breath just comes in and burns people into a crisp.
That was I had to watch that so many times.
I was like literally going like this, trying to be like a dragon. I know it's very lame, but it was just so powerful. I loved it.
It was awesome. The only weak part is obviously Bronn, and there were no like major deaths with that.
You know what? Bronn is a favorite. I know a lot of people really like the Bronn character, and it just makes me so upset that he was firing, you know, at the dragons. I know that he's working for Jaime and Cersei at this point. I kind of
felt the same way.
It was like, no, Bronn, you're on the wrong side.
And then Jaime went to go try to murder Daenerys, and the dragon
was a suicide mission.
Dragon was about to burn him to death when Bronn pushed him off into the lake, and then they escaped that battle.
Daenerys should have had that dragon burn that lake and boil that shit and kill them. Sorry, I like Jaime too, but
yeah,
you know, that's what I would have done as a warrior. I would have been like Dracarys on that lake, and they're dead.
So yeah, so then she asked all the rest of the Lannister army to bow down to her, take a knee, or they would die. Yeah. and Samwell's father and brother, Dickon, did not, and then they faced a fiery death, and it kind of concerned Tyrion
and
a bit.
Tyrion tried to talk her out of it because he didn't want her to end a house. He basically was saying like, you're gonna end the house. There's no one to take over the house. And he kind of was saying like, let the son go to jail. And she's like, no, the son is willing to stand up and take the death. And I said, if you don't bend the knee, you're dying. And she stood by her word. Yeah. Do you think she was right?
Yeah, that's a tough one because I can see both sides, but ultimately I think she was right.
I think at that point, in front of all those soldiers, she had to do what she said. It's like, you know, being a parent. If you don't follow through, the kids know, and they walk all over you. It would have been a sign of
weakness. It would have been a sign of weakness. And as immediately as those two got burned, they're like, "Oh, let's take a knee."
Wouldn't you? No, I would have already been on my knees the minute I saw that dragon the first time. Yes. I'd be like, "I give up. You're my queen."
So I do think that was the right move for them. Or for her to do that. I understand Tyrion's side, but in order to get those troops on with her and to take the knee,
and he's afraid she'll become the Mad Queen, that she'll be like her father and become insane. Yeah. And she kind of does show those moments. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if she'll end up becoming that way or if it's just kind of there to make us worry for her. But I can kind of see where she's a little unhinged sometimes, it seems.
Yeah, there's definitely signs there. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes and how far they'll go with that tonight, or if we have to wait for next season.
Well, I think if the John relationship happens, because he's more of a steadfast kind of thinker, I think that he might be able to, with Tyrion and him together, talk her down in some cases.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Let's travel to Winterfell. We're gonna go to Winterfell, and Arya's back.
I feel like I'm on the map.
It's all building. Bran's back, which we had seen, and now Arya's back, and I feel like
not the warm sisterly reunion that we had hoped for.
Well, they were never the closest, but yeah. So
no, definitely, but after what they've been through, you'd think you'd be like, I value family a little more.
There's definitely tension between Arya and Sansa. Arya's trying to figure out how Sansa's become the way she is. Sansa's trying to figure out the same with Arya.
Arya is not sure about Sansa because of the whole Ned Stark and the death thing. I think she thinks that Sansa betrayed her family.
Yes, which is Littlefinger is setting up the rift between them to be even larger, which it'll be interesting to see if that pays off for him or if it ends the story.
I like Littlefinger and the character of the actor, but I do hope it ends his story. He's causing too much trouble.
And he always has. So he's a character that I think has always deserved some sort of comeuppance.
He's not going to survive to win the Game of Thrones. That's for sure.
No. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe a sisterly bond come together in the end and then teaming up against Littlefinger.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, and I'm sure hopefully we'll get some of that tonight. But I definitely think Littlefinger's time has come. I think he got in a little bit over his head trying to separate the two sisters even more.
Yeah. I think that's the problem is Sansa's becoming very strong and she's very savvy to his game now. And Arya's seen the world and she knows what people will do. And I don't think she trusts anybody. And sorry, my dogs are going crazy.
That's all right.
They're like Ramsay Bolton's dogs.
Oh, geez. Watch out for your face. And then we had Sam and Gilly are on their way to Winterfell.
And Gilly dropped the little bomb.
Yes, which was one of my favorite scenes ever when
Gilly.
She pretty much figured out the big piece of the puzzle in terms of Jon Snow's parents and heritage, and John and Sam's like, shut up, Gilly, I'm doing worrying about my own thing right now.
She's reading a book some monk wrote or some maester wrote and basically said that a Prince Rhaegar had gone to Dorne and got an annulment from his wife and remarried somebody else, which now proves that Jon Snow is not a bastard. He is
legally a Targaryen.
And I know a lot of people are making stuff out of the title, The Wolf and the Dragon, about him and Dany. But I think The Wolf and the Dragon is just him. He's a wolf and a dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
I think he's going to find out his parentage tonight, and that's going to change everything for him.
Yeah, I think with Gilly coming to Winterfell and with Bran being the three-eyed raven, one of those two, maybe the two of them together, I don't know. I think we're going to definitely find out. Of course, I also think it's going to happen after Dany and Jon bone.
Oh, it has to. They're going to bone before they find out that they're aunt and nephew.
They're going to bone within, I think that'll probably be the cold opening before the credits even roll.
Yes, I'm waiting. I know a lot of people don't like either of those characters. I love them. And, I think right from the beginning, I kind of said Dany and Jon.
Yeah.
So.
And my hatred for Jon Snow.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling I don't hate him as much this season.
Because he's not at the wall. He's not whining. He's becoming a man, really.
Yeah. I'm okay with him this season, which is hard for me to say, but he's okay. So let's go ahead and
ride that dragon.
What's that?
Are you excited to see him ride that dragon?
Oh, he's definitely, yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes is when the dragon came, he started petting it, the dragon let him pet it, and then Danny's just sitting there going, oh,
she's like a jealous bitch, like, don't touch my dragon.
And then she's like, ooh, I think that's when she's like, I'm gonna bone you, Jon Snow.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. So let's go ahead and let's go to Dragonstone, where you've got Jon Snow coming to Danny, and he wants the glass because he thinks that's going to be a weapon against.
Yeah, the dragon glass is a weapon to kill White Walkers.
Yeah. Now, if only they had somebody who could forge weapons. Oh. So they get word.
She refuses to let him go. Yes. She says she'll stay here as my guest, and he refuses to bend the knee and recognize her as the queen. And she, of course, refuses to recognize him as king in the north because she wants him to be her servant, her subject.
Yes.
So they're at an impasse.
Yes, and then they end up. They realize that they need to figure a way to show this threat to everybody. And at one point, Tyrion and Davos go to King's Landing to have a secret meeting with Jaime.
Yeah.
And
he says, bring me one of these dead men.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And while Tyrion's doing that meeting, Davos goes into the market. And who does he find?
My husband, Gendry.
There he is, just blacksmithing away once again, like nothing ever happened.
Well, I mean, at least he's not just rowing off to, Essos or Southos or one of those other places.
It was cheesy, but I did like that they threw in that joke.
Because that's what everybody's saying.
Yeah. So it was kind of a little bit of fan service, but it was funny. And I thought, like, when the two of those guys were, Gendry and Davos, were on the screen, it was almost like a buddy comedy. It was kind of weird.
There's one of our spinoffs.
I would watch it. And so now he didn't take much convincing for him to go with Davos. Gendry's like, yep, let's go. I'm ready. I've been waiting for this. He grabs
and he's got a big war hammer like his dad used to use.
Yeah, and of course...
It even has, I didn't see this, but from what I was reading, it even has a stag carved into it.
Yeah, I heard that. I don't think I saw it either. And he even used it to bash in a couple, like, King's Landing guards already.
That was brutal. They're like, where are you going? And he just whomp. I was like, whoa.
I knew it was coming, though, because they kept showing him looking over to his hammer. So I'm like... And I felt like, okay, maybe it was just teasing us. But when Tyrion came and kind of messed everything up, I'm like, okay, here comes the hammer.
Yeah.
So then they decide to form and Jorah comes back and
shirt of great scale.
Completely perfect. Apparently all it requires is just pulling off scabs.
Yeah, I mean your mom always told you don't pick at your scabs, but
apparently it makes you better. And so there was a whole Tyrion, Davos went up with them, but he didn't cross the wall, right?
Right.
And Jon Snow, Gendry.
Tormund.
Oh, he met them there. But that group went, and then they met with Tormund, and then the Hound, and the
Band of Brothers. The Brothers Without Banners. I don't know what the hell they're called.
I don't either. Which was kind of interesting because a lot of them had like history with each other, which was kind of fun. Because
Gendry was sold to Melisandre and to Stannis by the Brothers Without Banners, or whatever the hell they're called. So he was kind of like, bitch, you sold me. And they're like, that was then and this is now.
Good. Jorah and Tyrion had moments. The Hound has had moments with a lot of them. And so it was kind of fun to see them kind of interact. So they went to the other side of the wall. They met a zombie polar bear. And obviously the White Walker army. They got their guy. They send the Ravens. So they're all going to, I think, tonight meet somewhere.
After Gendry ran to save
After Gendry ran so far away. And so they've got their White Walker. But when things look like they're about to get worse and they're all going to die, randomly, here comes Daenerys with her dragons.
Well, it wasn't random. Gendry sent them a raven once he got to Eastwatch and said, come save us. And her dragons...
It wasn't random, but it was very fast.
Well, they fly very fast.
Okay, sure. Sure. I'll buy that for now.
Well, I mean, what's that place called? Dragonstone isn't really that far from the north. So fly up the coast and you're right there. Yeah, it's possible.
Okay.
We don't know how long they were standing on that ice before the zombies attacked them again.
That's true. And they were there for a while, letting like it freeze up or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll buy that. And then she saves them, but the what's his name? The King of White Walkers? The Night's King. The Night's King had this big, huge spear, and apparently he was like a javelin player.
Ice
spear. He was like a javelin thrower in high school because just one throw of the ice spear and boom, right into Viserys's.
Well, his ice spear did what Bronze machine spear thrower couldn't do.
Yeah, and
with one arm. I guess the Night's King's super strong.
Yeah, he must be, and a very good javelin, very good javelin thrower. And so
Olympics,
that
gold medal.
the dragon goes underwater. They lose the dragon. The dragon's dead, and but everyone escapes with Dany except for Jon Snow, who stays behind, who's then saved by his uncle Benjen, who kind of sacrifices himself. But he was already kind of a weird White Walker creature, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, that's it. He's half White Walker because he was being turned when those little forest elves, the children
of the forest,
saved him. So he never fully changed, but he could, from what I understand, he couldn't cross back across the wall anyway because of the magic in the wall.
So John took his horse and went back to where the rest of the group was, and of course,
there was enough room for Benjen to get on at least and ride part of the way and not go through the wall.
Yeah, there's plenty of room. Plenty of room. We need to make it more dramatic.
Rose
of course,
and Titanic, yes.
He gets back and Danny's like, "Ooh, I want some of that."
Because she saw his stabbed up body.
All the stuff, yeah.
And was like, he's a hero.
Siler? No. I'm a hero. So what do we think is going to happen tonight with the season 7 finale?
Well, I know there's the big meeting. The Congress, I don't know, parlay, whatever it's going to be. There's the big meeting between Cersei, Jon Snow, and I'm assuming Daenerys will be there. And everybody else except for, I think, Arya and Sansa.
Yeah,
and
because Sansa sent Brienne to represent
yes,
her.
And Podrick. Yeah. So I guess we'll see Cersei saying, I won't bend the knee. But, I mean, they're going to have the White Walker with them, the dead man. So will Cersei be moved or I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see.
She's not going to give in. I think even with a zombie in her presence, she's not going to give up her power. She's not going to give in.
No.
And if they all came together and killed the White Walkers tonight, anyway, what does next season have in store? I mean,
that's a good point. It'll be interesting to see because we've never seen Cersei interact with some of these characters, so it'll be interesting.
Never. I mean, she barely met Jon.
Yeah.
Jaime barely met Jon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be what's Jaime gonna do with Brienne? Because Brienne, he sent her to find. He has now, kind of. But they were friends. How disgusted is she going to be with him siding with Cersei?
It'll be what's interesting is that throughout the entire series, you have these people kind of on their own journeys and kind of separated. And now, for the first time, we're going to see a big, huge. This might be one of the biggest groupings of like characters that we've had.
The whole cast is together.
Yeah. Except again for the Starks, the Stark children.
Yeah, and Baelish, yeah.
Yeah, and Sam McGilly. But most of them will be there.
Yeah. I mean, Sam McGilly could come running in and be like, you are Jon Snow, child of Lyanna.
The father.
But do you think, a lot of people are saying that they think we're going to get the flashback to how Lyanna and Rhaegar got together. Do you think there's going to be time in this episode for that?
Well, it's going to be,
or is that a next season thing?
79 minutes. It's a long episode tonight. So I think we might get that.
I kind of hope we do. That would be good to wrap up that part of it and, move it along.
And I can kind of begin anew then for the last 6 episodes. It's like, let's get that part behind us and let's just continue. So, we got 1 episode left, an extended episode tonight. And next week, we'll make sure to not talk about it. No, we'll talk about it next week.
So, one last thing before we go. Now that we're coming into the very last episode, who do you think at this point is going to win the Game of Thrones?
Jon.
Do you think it will be Jon?
I do think it'll be Jon. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Dany.
I think Dany and Jon are the overly obvious choices.
I know a lot of people are saying they think what's going to happen is the Red Keep is destroyed and there is no throne anymore. But someone still will have to be ruler of Westeros.
Yes.
So I think in that technicality, I don't know. Do you think it'll be John and Danny as a co? But do you think they'll get that happy ending? I mean, there's no happy endings in the Game of Thrones, right?
There's not going to be a happy ending. It's going to be kind of a bittersweet ending, I bet. So I can see maybe one of them sacrificing for the other.
I think one of them will have to. I think if Danny survives, she'll survive with Jon Snow's baby and the future of the Targaryens in her stomach. If Jon survives and Danny dies, I think he'll be holding the baby at the end.
I do think I mean, they are the obvious choices, but I also think they're the ones that the series is most about.
And I mean, you go right back to season 1 before the show's even started, and George R.R. Martin has said this show is about Danny and Jon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Even more so than Tyrion or any of the other people. The show is about Danny and Jon. And he said, I've been reading stuff this week. The point of the show is to get Jon and Danny together. And does he mean just in the same room or together?
It'd be weird to have an aunt and nephew ruling together, but
not
no
in Targaryens.
I don't think both of them will
be
alive at the end.
I think Jon will die a hero's death because he's that kind of guy. He's Ned Stark's son, or raised by Ned Stark. So
I think it's going to go the other way. I think Danny's.
You think so?
Yeah. But I guess we'll find out next year. Apparently, they're filming a little later.
When does it air?
We don't
know. God! So now I gotta wait another
Well, they are going to be filming. They did announce that they're not going to start filming until like November, December. So it's going to be later than they normally do.
Yeah.
But they are only filming. They are only filming 6 episodes. I do.
But they are longer episodes each episode, right?
Yeah, they are. But I would think that probably about the same time we get these episodes, we'll get the next one. Maybe a little bit later. Maybe around this time next year, we'll get the batch. So it'll either be mid to late summer. I think we'll get next.
The world better not end before I see what happens in the Game of Thrones.
I can't promise that. With the way things are right now, I cannot promise that. Let's quickly talk about 2 new Netflix shows, just very quickly. Especially one of them I don't think I have a whole lot to say about. Is recently we've got 2 new shows popping up on Netflix called Atypical and White Gold. Let's talk about Atypical first. And this is a show about an 18-year-old boy who's on the autism spectrum. And he decides, and it's about his family has definitely made sacrifices for him as he's grown up.
Yeah.
And he decides, hey, guess what, family? It's time. I want a girlfriend. I want to lose my virginity. I want a girlfriend. And then it's about him making decisions, him trying to fit in and trying to find girls and trying to do all this, and his family kind of reacting to that, kind of going off doing their own thing too. And I really enjoyed the show.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah. Did you watch?
He's quirky.
The first one?
Just the one episode.
Yeah,
I thought he was quirky. I kind of loved the mom. I really kind of related to the mom in the sense that she was like, he's not ready. He's not ready to grow up. Yeah. He still needs me. So I'm a mom. That's kind of how I feel.
You related to the mom. I related to the 18-year-old autistic kid. Because I'm watching this kid.
We all have our roles in life.
I'm watching this kid on the show, and I feel like I pretty much related to almost everything this kid did. One of my favorite scenes in that first episode is when he works at like a Best Buy store as like a Geek Squad member, and he's got this coworker friend with him, and they see this girl across the store, and the guy's like, dude, she's looking at you. And the Sam, the autistic kid, is like, what? No. It's like, yeah, she's totally looking at you. And he's like, what do I do? His friend's like, oh, give her a smile. So he gives this awkward, awful, scary smile. And she looks over and just immediately looks away.
But you know what? From what I've been, because I have some people on Facebook that have children with autism.
Yes.
That kind of big kind of grimace smile is a thing that a lot of autistic people do because they kind of don't understand smiling.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. So I like that they kind of make him really true to life. They're kind of respectful about it while being funny at the same time.
Yeah.
I liked when actually had a chance to lose her virginity and the girl was touching him and he pushed her away. I don't know how he's going to lose his virginity without being touched, but.
Yeah. It's definitely. I think it's really well done. I've seen some controversy where
the older sister.
The sister, I think, is gonna, and as you see more of her, you'll see more of her story. And I think she's kind of I think, going to be the breakout character of the show.
Yeah,
and
I like her.
she's kind of going through her own thing too, where she's kind of got her own successes. She's an athlete, a track athlete, but at the same time, she's always had to deal and try to protect her older brother. And I think it was funny because even in that situation in the first episode is when she punches the other student for bullying somebody else. And it had nothing to do with her brother, but she was still like, okay,
And she didn't know the girl. She wasn't friends with her, but she just, she didn't like that she was being bullied.
I think it was kind of awkward watching that guy from Quantico play like a semi-teen.
That's where I recognized him from. I'm like, I know this guy.
Yeah, the brother of the girl that she defended.
Yeah.
But
what was the controversies?
Oh, the controversy is that they cast an actor who wasn't autistic playing an autistic kid.
Yeah, it's like how people are right now. They don't like to see, why you have a blind person playing when you could really have a blind person or a deaf person or a trans person. That's I get the point why they're saying it, but maybe they couldn't find somebody with autism to play the role they wanted.
Sometimes you got to do the best actor. Yeah, and I feel like he does a really good job, and I don't feel like it's disrespectful.
No, I don't either. I think he's trying to be the whole show is trying to be respectful. At the point, I only watched one episode. But.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I'm further in, and I feel like, and you do see him leading a life. You see him working an after-school job. You see him doing this, so they're not being completely... I don't know. Yeah, I feel like it's realistic, and I really like it. And I think, again, I can totally relate to this kid, which I don't know what that says about me, but it's good. And I like his therapist.
She's hot.
I think so too. Yes. Yeah. And there's that scene when Jennifer Jason Leigh goes and talks to her.
Yes.
Showing so much cleavage. I was distracted.
Yeah. Jennifer Jason Leigh shows a lot of cleavage in this show.
Yeah. Did you see where she goes? Does she meet the bartender?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's I think it's in the next episode, which has one of my favorite lines too, because she leaves her credit card there. And so she's like, she couldn't go and she's awkward to go get it. And the husband's like, I'll do it. She's like, what? Yeah. So the husband goes in and meets the bartender guy, and he's wearing, I don't know if he's wearing like a band t-shirt or something. He's like, yeah, when I went to that concert, I was the whitest guy there. And the bartender's like, I bet wherever you go, you're the whitest guy there. I just really like that line. But yeah, so as the series goes on, you see more interactions with Jennifer Jason Leigh and the bartender. You see a lot going on with the daughter with kind of her aspirations. You see the father kind of coming to terms with, even way back in the past, having an autistic son. And of course you have instances of Sam, again, in his journey of trying to find a girl. And I think it's a lot of fun. I'm 5 episodes. It's 8 episodes. Again, perfect number. I think I'm 5 episodes in, and there are times where it's kind of cringy and kind of hard to watch. Again, maybe it's because I relate a little too much, but I really like the show.
Okay, well, I'm sure by next time we talk next week, I'll have watched all the episodes.
Yeah, I'll have to watch the last 3. But of course, I first have to finish Zoo and figure out what happens with Atypical. And then very quickly, we'll talk about White Gold. White Gold is a show that I guess premiered back in May on BBC Two. Netflix picked it up internationally. It's 6 episodes. It stars your other man, Ed Westwick, from Gossip Girl.
With his accent. Finally, I get to hear him with his accent.
I forgot that he was British at first, that he really is British. And I have to say, I have to watch the show. I'm getting better with accents, but I have to watch the show with subtitles.
This is what I wrote into my notes. Slack, or Justin, will not know what they are saying.
Within like the first minute, I'm like, how do I get subtitles? He's doing this whole
speech. As soon as he started talking, I'm like, nope.
He's doing his whole speech about wankers, and I understood the word wanker 20 times, and that was about it. So I'm like, I am figuring out how to do subtitles, And then that was when I watched it earlier this morning on one TV. So I went over to another TV to watch the second episode. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try. Again, 30 seconds into it, I'm like, subtitles. It's so hard to understand.
Did you like it, or?
I've watched 2 episodes now. I think it's okay.
I like his character. I like how he breaks the fourth wall?
I love fourth wall breaking, and I love narrators like that.
He's got such a good charm. Like, I like how he's just like walking, he's looking at the camera, he's like blah blah blah, and then he goes right back into the story. I love his 2 sidekicks at the dogging.
Yes. So they're salesmen that are trying to sell windows, but they're kind of more hustlers and con men than like actually good salesmen. Yeah. And this takes place in 1983 in England. But my favorite character, besides Victor, Ed Westworth's Victor. Oh my gosh, I can't say his name. His Victor is awesome. But that Carol, the blonde receptionist lady, is
I knew she'd be your favorite.
So predictable,
she's so good.
She's funny.
Yeah.
So how many did you watch?
Think it's funny. I watched the first 2. Okay. I'll definitely keep watching it. Like you said, there's only a few episodes.
6 episodes, yeah.
It's got some really what's the word I want? Definitely not politically correct jokes.
No.
The joke about the Ethiopian.
Yes.
I was just like, oh my God. My other favorite word was when he said urinal instead of urinal.
Yes, I was caught off guard. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I have to pay attention to it because I'm reading it.
Yeah, and I love, of course, and I said this about Glow, I love the soundtrack. I'm a girl of the 80s, and I love all that 80s music.
Yeah, and the very first scene was him like half naked getting dressed to Gloria.
Yeah.
As soon as that popped up, I'm like, yeah, she's gonna like this show. You're gonna like this show.
#1 fan.
Like they know they're targeting who they're targeting this to.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was funny. I thought it was cute. It had some good jokes. I liked at the end where he said he joined the freaking golf club just to torment the guy who wouldn't hire him.
That was funny. The only thing the one thing I don't buy is I don't buy the relation. I don't with his wife. The relationship with his wife. I don't really like the wife stuff yet.
Is it you don't think that they'd be a real couple, or you just feel like it's not necessary?
I feel a little bit of both. I feel like it's not necessary. At the second time, I feel like I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't really fit with the rest of the story.
Okay.
And I guess maybe as we go on, maybe we'll see more of them. But like he randomly has these 2 kids, which we hardly see and hardly talk about.
I think they're his stepkids, but yeah.
Oh, are they?
Because I think at one point, remember when she came in and he was like, those last times I saw those hands, they were around my, and she's like, kids, right? And then she's like, go out, your father's waiting for you outside.
Oh, your father. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, and then the girl calls him by his name, Vincent.
Vincent. Oh, it's Vincent. I called him Victor. It's Vincent.
So I think they're his stepkids. I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood that.
No, I think you're right. I didn't pick up on that, but now that you say that, I think that just shows that I think that part of the story isn't quite as clear.
You're not paying attention.
As everything else, and I just think that they haven't really. But maybe as the show goes on with its 6 episodes, we'll get a little bit more in terms of that background. But yeah, it's kind of fun. It is frustrating that I have to read the show. It's fun.
I watch Netflix with the subtitles on all the time. Every show.
Do you?
Yeah, just because sometimes you miss what people are saying,
yeah,
and then
that's
at least you
true.
can see it.
That's not a bad idea, especially when you can't understand.
At nighttime when I'm going to sleep and I'm watching Netflix, I can turn it down and watch it.
That's good. Before we go, I do want to give an apology out to someone I talked about a couple weeks ago. I would like to apologize to Misha Barton when I called her the world's worst kayaker, because I watched this week's Battle of Network Stars, and Troy Gentile, who is from the Goldbergs, plays Barry Goldberg, aka Big Tasty, was 100 times worse of a kayaker than Misha.
What's funny is that character. I haven't watched it yet, but that character is supposed to be like so good at sports.
Oh, and I have to say, throughout this whole show, this kid was not very good at anything he had to do.
That's called acting.
Yes. And he must be the world's greatest actor. So he gets in the kayak and he's up against the other team. I don't remember exactly who he was up against. And he veers off onto one side, veers off onto the other side. He's not even like to the buoy when the girl on the other side is starting to go, and then he flips over. And he flips, and so I don't even.
We haven't seen anybody flip yet.
Like while actually kayaking, no. But big tasty manages to do it, and so the other team does their guy and their girl, and they finish and win before this kid even is like halfway through.
You said he stopped at that point. They didn't even finish.
I don't think I don't even think the girl on his team even got a chance to go. But
he'll probably still be in the kayak today if that.
It was bad. Now my dream is that they do.
I'll have to watch. Yeah.
They bring everyone back, like the all-stars, and they do Misha versus Troy. I would love to see those two kayak against each other.
Send a tweet to Battle Network Stars and ask for that.
I am your one.
It's the
viewer.
kayak
Please
race no one
this.
wanted to see.
Except me. Well, that's our show this week. Make sure you watch Game of Thrones, and we will be talking about the season 7 finale next week. So again, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
And
thank you.
Listen to our regular podcast tomorrow and Wednesday. We should be online.
Yay.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.